Hey, welcome back, guys. Today I thought since I did a video yesterday on the new Debian 9 stretch, which is the stable edition, and I was extremely impressed with it. I had some requests to do some videos on installing drivers. So the first video that I'm going to do is um, how to install your NVIDIA graphics drivers. Now, I'm going to take it step by step. Some of the steps early on will be basically building the foundation for audio video drivers to be installed properly. And so I'll go through those steps with you. Before we get to actual NVIDIA install, we're going to do a few steps that will get the system ready for non-free drivers. Now, the first thing we want to do, and I'm going to post these notes in the show notes. Now, just one more thing. This is a brand new install of Debian Stretch, Debian 9 stable. All I've done is install GUVC and Simple Screen Recorder to be able to do this video. I haven't really done anything. I ran update and upgrade, but I haven't done anything because I want to do each step with you so you can see how it works. So the first thing we're going to do is NVIDIA. Now I am going to do another video on Wi-Fi installation, which is a whole different subject. But let's go through NVIDIA step by step. Now I have everything here that you'll need to do. So and this says Wi-Fi, but a lot of these steps up front are going to be in preparation for either Wi-Fi or NVIDIA. So I'm gonna, even though I'm not covering Wi-Fi right now, you would do these steps for your Wi-Fi installation also. Okay, so let's take it step by step. We've got our terminal. As you can see, I just installed Simple Screen Recorder in GUVC View. We'll clear that. Now I'm signed in as root because the system is not yet set up to recognize sudo. And so I'll do that later on. That's not a requirement for this video. So let's sign in as root, which is SU and then your password. And then we'll take this step by step. Now, if you're running a 64-bit system, you'll need to enable your system for 32-bit architecture. The reason you want to do that is because if you're trying to install NVIDIA graphics, the assumption is that you're going to be doing some gaming. If you're going to be doing gaming, if you have a 64-bit system, you want your system to be able to handle 32-bit applications. Therefore, you need to enable your system for 32-bit architecture. Much of Linux gaming relies on 32-bit packages, especially Steam. So the first thing we want to do is copy and paste this first command into a terminal. And that just enables your system for 32-bit architecture. Press enter and it's done. Now we're going to need to enable contrib and non-free in our sources because many of these programs are coming from non-free. Like for example, Nvidia is a non-free video manufacturer. The open source drivers would not give you the capabilities that NVIDIA drivers give you. So to unleash the full capability of your NVIDIA graphics GPU, you do need to enable contrib and non-free. So let's show you how to do that. Now this is an LXDE install. These steps would be the same no matter which desktop you've installed. There are some differences when we get to Wi-Fi, but for Nvidia it's all the same. So I'm going to go to Preferences and then open Synaptic Package Manager. You'll need to enter your password, close that initial window, and then go to Settings and Repositories. Now it's a little difficult because my display is on a really poor resolution, but I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. You see, these are the CD-ROM listings, which are no longer used after the install. That's why there's no check mark here. Excuse me, my allergies are acting up today. So as you can see, this is the stretch distribution. What we need to do is, in these two, actually four of them, the first two and the last two, we're going to add contrib and non-free. So highlight it, which will bring it up in the box below, and then just add contrib and non-free. Okay, and then just leave that and click the second one, add contrib and non-free. You don't need to do that on the security listings, so go to the next to last one, contrib, non-free, and the last one, contrib, non-free. You're going to click OK and then reload. So once that's done reloading, now your system will be able to pull in non-free applications specifically to help you with your audio-video configurations. Okay, so now let's close Synaptic, and we're going to run apt-get update. And we're going to run apt-get upgrade. And there's nothing to be done. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to install a few necessary codecs. Libavcodec-extra is one of those that you will want to install. So it's apt-get install, and we're going to go through with that. And we're going to install firmware-linux-nonfree. Let that run. And then because we're dealing with audio video, I usually install VLC, GIMP, and smplayer. Now smplayer comes installed in the LXDE desktop right out of the box. So we only need VLC and GIMP. If you were doing XFCE, I believe VLC comes standard, and you would need to install GIMP and smplayer. Just want to make sure GIMP isn't installed. Well, GIMP is already installed, so the only thing we'll need to do is install VLC. Now VLC pulls in a lot of codecs, so you want to make sure that that is installed. And that'll go through the installation process. Now, that will get us ready to install our NVIDIA graphics. Now I'm going to run apt-get update just to be on the safe side, and apt-get upgrade just to make sure I've done my due diligence. Now, now we are ready to install our NVIDIA drivers. The first thing you want to do is install nvidia-detect. So let's install that. nvidia-detect. And then you're going to run it. You see what that says? Now it tells me that I have a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti NVIDIA graphics card. Your card is supported. It is recommended to install the nvidia-driver package. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card and you install nvidia-detect, after you run it, this is more than likely the message you will get, except of course your graphics card will be listed there. But it will be more than likely recommending that you install the NVIDIA driver package. Now, whenever you install drivers within Linux, one of the critical things is to make sure that you install the Linux headers for the kernel that you are running. If you don't do that, your drivers will not work properly. So, if I go to my browser and I take a look at, I'm going to open up another window and I'm going to search for NVIDIA Debian. Now, Debian, the wiki is really helpful. And I'm going to be using that as we talk about other drivers like Wi-Fi. The wiki is something that you should rely on and read through, because the more you know, the more you'll be able to function competently within your system. So if I open up the NVIDIA graphics drivers wiki, Debian wiki page, I'm going to, now I've gone through this trial and error, and you can see the first step is nvidia-detect. But this hasn't been updated yet, so it still reflects Jesse and Wheezy, and so I'm going to show you the system that I have used with 3 different NVIDIA cards. I've used this process on GTX 760, GT 740, and GTX 1050 Ti, which is the one I have in this machine. So it works on all 3 of those, and so this, I'm pretty confident that you'll be successful if you follow this. Now, there's a lot of information on this wiki page, but we're going to go down to the installation that usually works on everybody's system, at least every one that I've tried. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, this system works. Now, let me say that if you're using, let's say, an Ubuntu package, they have a built-in driver installer that all you need to do is check off NVIDIA and it'll go through the process and do it for you. Debian makes you work a little harder. That is a good thing and it can be a bad thing. But this process that I'm going to show you is one that I've used for quite some time, and it's working on every Debian install that I've attempted. So we're going to be working with this particular but we're not going to use aptitude. So I'm just going to copy this and we're going to go to my leaf pad and I'm going to just copy this in. And because I'm already signed in as root, I just need apt-get install. Now, this portion, all the way up to this end parentheses, has to do with the Linux headers. This is going to read your kernel and select the proper headers for your kernel. This has worked for me on multiple different kernels because it reads the kernel in your system and installs the appropriate headers. Then, once it does that, it will go ahead and install the NVIDIA driver package that was mentioned in the terminal after running nvidia-detect. So that's the NVIDIA driver package, and that's the NVIDIA driver installation instruction. So let's copy this and make sure it's copied in correctly. That looks fine. And I'm going to continue. Now it's going to go through, and as I said, it's going to install the headers for your system, and it's going to install your NVIDIA driver package so that once you reboot, you will be in a functioning NVIDIA graphics environment. And we're going to show that. Once this is done installing, I'm going to reboot, and then you can see how everything looks much better. And then I'm going to go through a couple of things that you might want to do after you have your NVIDIA drivers working. So let's let this finish, and then I'll go ahead and reboot so you can see the end result. And again, it's a multi-step process, and one of the critical things is making sure the headers are installed properly for your particular kernel. Now, as you can see, it's giving me a message saying there's a conflicting Nouveau kernel module loaded. The free kernel module is currently loaded and conflicts with the non-free NVIDIA kernel module. The easiest way to fix this is to reboot the machine once the installation is finished. So that's just a informational message. You're going to press enter, and it's going to finish the install. And the important thing about that message is that it's letting you know that all you need to do once everything's finished is to reboot. Now you can see from the terminal window that it says loading new NVIDIA current 37566. That is the driver that you'll have when this is done. That's one of the reasons I'm most impressed with the new Debian 9 stable version, is because it's a little bit more work to get this going, but once you finish it, once you get your NVIDIA installed and your Wi-Fi installed, a couple things will happen. One is you'll know a heck of a lot more about your system than just point and click. And number two, the stability of Debian stretch 9, legendary. The Debian stable version in the past has had much more problems with graphics drivers and Wi-Fi drivers, many more problems. And with this new 9 release, it's amazing to me how much progress has been made. Now, it's still a manual install procedure, but it's pulling in later drivers, and it's got access to much later software. It's just terrific. And for a new user, it's not the easiest setup in the world. You do need to take it step by step. That's why I make these videos, because I know how difficult it can be. But when you finish setting up your new your new Debian system with your NVIDIA installed and your Wi-Fi, you'll absolutely love it. It's rock solid. Now again, this is the LXDE desktop environment. This process will work on whatever desktop you've decided to install. Now, one of the things I'll mention with Debian 9 that I noticed is My printer is configured out of the box. I did not have to touch anything on my printer. Let me show you that. There it is. It automatically identified it and configured it. My printer, it's the right model number. It just did it absolutely perfectly right out of the box. Linux is making a lot of progress. So now what's taking so long is because it's building the modules for your NVIDIA graphics card, and it takes a little while. So it's just about done, and it is done right now. So now I'm going to reboot my system. I'm going to make sure I save these additions that I made to that. And again, I'm going to put these notes in the show notes for you. But I'm going to reboot now, guys, and when I come back, everything should be fine. The NVIDIA should be installed properly, and the graphics should be much improved over what we have here. So guys, I'll be right back with you. Welcome back, guys. And as you can see, this looks much better. Everything is configured properly. I'll open my menu, go to Preferences. There's our NVIDIA settings package. You can see I'm running the 375-66. Now, a couple of things. After you get your NVIDIA graphics driver installed, you can open Settings, go to Thermal Settings. It will give you a Celsius temperature of your GPU. If you use a conky or any type of sensor monitoring, you'll want to pass that temperature along to your conky or your sensors. And in order to do that, I'm going to quit this and open up my notes. And as I said, there's a couple things you might want to do. First one is, if you want to pass that information to your sensor monitoring for your GPU temperature, first thing we got to do, since we're still not set up for sudo, sign in as root and install nvidia-smi. Okay, once that's installed, I'm going to make the assumption that you want to do some gaming. If you want to install Steam, you're going to need to install this package right here. And actually, I'm going to put that on a separate line so that it goes into the show notes properly. So you'll want to install this, because Steam will not run in Debian without this file. And I forgot install. Okay, so let that run. And that is it, guys. We are done. So now your NVIDIA graphics should be loaded. You're able to pass along your temperature, your GPU temperature, and you're ready to install Steam. Now, once you go through this process, if you want to install Steam, all you need to do is apt-get install Steam. And you will have Steam installed. And your graphics, your NVIDIA graphics will be running perfectly, and you'll be able to do your gaming on Steam. Now, as I mentioned, everything is limited by whatever graphics card you have. So it's going to play most games fine, but there might be some games that are a little choppy. Again, if you only have a 1 gigabyte graphics memory, it's going to be limiting for you. My card is a 1050 Ti. It's got 2 gigs of RAM, video RAM, and even then I have some issues. So, but this will go a long way to help you do some significant gaming within Linux. So guys, that is it for this NVIDIA driver install in the new Debian Stretch 9 stable. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for stopping by the channel today. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Take care.